For God's sakes, get out!
What is up, everyone? Today, Vicky and I have a pretty special episode for you guys. We are heading down to my hometown where I grew up to visit some family for Mother's Day. Now, where I grew up, Toms River, New Jersey, these days is probably more known for the antics of the Jersey Shore cast over in Seaside, because you have to go through Toms River to get to Seaside Heights. But in 1979, a very famous horror movie shot there. And that movie is, of course, the 1979 horror classic, The Amityville Horror.
The passage to hell!
And they shot a lot of the movie there because the house bared very similar resemblance to the house where the actual murders took place in Amityville, Long Island. It's kind of odd, actually, like how similar the house looked. Growing up, I had driven by this place many times just because I've always been a horror film nerd. Even in high school, my geometry teacher told our whole class, she's like, I was an extra in the Amityville Horror. To this day, no matter how many times I've watched the movie, I can't spot her for the life of me. In the middle of downtown Toms River, there's kind of a lot of locations from this movie, which is pretty cool. And Vicky's never seen them. I've never filmed any of the places. I've never taken any photos, so I think you guys can appreciate some of the funny stories I'll have to tell about them. Now, for those of you who don't know Amityville Horror, I'll just break it down real quick. It follows the story of two newlyweds, played by Margot Kidder and James Brolin, as they're buying a new house for them and their 3 kids, and a murder took place at this house prior to them moving in. But the murder that took place is a guy killed his whole family in there. And slowly but surely, the house starts possessing James Brolin, and all these bizarre occurrences start happening. Priests don't know what's going on. It is just like a cult classic, you know, demonic possession type movie, like flies flying all over a priest, blood dripping out of walls, James Brolin like getting possessed and like being almost forced to kill his family. It is crazy, and I highly recommend checking it out, especially just because it's a horror classic. You gotta see the classics. Now, we're not gonna go to all the locations from the movie, just the ones that are in Toms River. I think Grim Life Collective and a bunch of other like location-focused YouTube people have all gone to the Lakewood locations, like Georgian Court University. There's that bench on the water. There's the church in Point Pleasant. But for this video, we're just going to Toms River because that's where I grew up and that's where I've got stories from. And anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy some of the funny stories. Alright. So Vicky is standing where George Lutz, aka James Brolin, comes running out of the town hall and hops on his bike right about here. Hasn't really changed much. I mean, I think they got rid of like some of the sidewalks and stuff like that, but yeah, there it is, Town Hall. It's not really in the movie very long, but it is pretty cool that they use the Town Hall from my hometown in this movie. What do you think?
It's fine.
Now, funny story is, right over here, my friends and I growing up used to skate the handrail going down those stairs, which is hilarious that like my whole childhood I'd spend like at this pseudo movie location. But there it is, Town Hall. Look out for James Brolin, he's furious on the motorcycle. Now here is where the Witches Brew used to stand. It's been knocked down and there's like a law office in its place now. But this is where James Brolin gets off his motorcycle right about here where I'm standing. Hops in there, goes to meet his buddy who he punches in the face and talk about demonology and witchcraft and shit with that guy's girlfriend.
And then it went the New Jersey way. It's not a bar, it's a law office.
Pretty cool that the parking lot and stuff is all still here, but and it looks kind of like it did, but there's no sweet neon sign that says Witches Brew.
Sure.
Here we are, the Amityville Horror House. Obviously it's undergone some renovations and looks like it is again. But a common misconception of the movie is that the windows on the side had that kind of like curve to them. And they just, renovated the house. But no, they made those so the house looked more like the house from the real murders. So it's always kind of actually looked like this. It was just like a front. But there it is. Pretty crazy. They've definitely moved the house a little further back, but there's the garage where George is always hacking up the wood. But there it is, 18 Brooks Road. Pretty crazy. Look at the side. God, it's so much fancier in person than I thought it would be. But yeah, there it is, the house from Amityville Horror. Who would have thought Margot Kidder and James Brolin were just hanging out here in 1978 filming the movie. But yeah, and the house across the street is pretty much still the same, so not much has changed there.
For God's sakes, get out!
You think that's what the owners are thinking?
Yeah.
So let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Crazy. There it is. I haven't gone to all these places very often, just because, everything looks a little different than it did in 1979, of course. What's funny about this one is James Brolin rides by this on his motorcycle in the movie, and what's funny for me is when I was a kid, I skated the rail and slammed my nuts on it. Not faring so well these days, but anytime I watch the movie, I'm constantly reminded of my black balls and taint. Ouch. My balls didn't do that. It's pretty cool that a fucking horror classic was filmed in my hometown. Now you can say what you will about where Amityville Horror as a movie franchise is these days. Because the property is public domain, anyone can make an Amityville movie. That's why you've got movies like Amityville Toilet, Amityville Karen, Amityville Shark. It's kind of insane. But the first 3 movies of the franchise are really good, and I'd recommend checking them out. But if there's anyone you should see, it's definitely the original. Even the remake's pretty good, but I am not advocating going past, the first 3, 4, or 5 of these movies. If you do, that is up to your own discretion. Enjoy, I guess, and good luck with that.
I'm coming apart!